Hello and good morning and a welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne. More or less Anne. 75% Anne? We hope. And of course, Disembodied Hands, 100% Quindy, 100%. John, 110% John, I think, perhaps. He's been very, very present lately. And then there's Justin. Justin's sitting at 12.3. You know, how you do. He has an almost functional Anne. As you know, well, Cornico, there are good days and there are bad days. Today is like, we're still up in the air. We'll see how it goes. See how it goes. Need puppy pics, huh? Oh, I see. You guys only came for puppy pics. That's what I thought. Kodiak, better, but still not 100%. I'm getting really sick of this. Like, it's been over a month since I've actually felt good, so it's like really annoying. Let's see here. Puppy pictures. I think I have puppy pictures. Let me look. Yeah. I actually got some really good ones of Kiki over the weekend. So let's see here. Oh, that's too cute. Yeah, I have some cutes. All right. I have some lawn cutes here. 75% Quindy. Oh, I'm sorry that the spreadsheet is sucking out your soul. So she's a devil. She actually put a big hole in this shirt, this Reaper shirt, and I can't get any more of these. Well, actually, okay, I could probably get Ed and Rhonda order me something. But luckily this is the one that I like the least because I have like two navy ones that I like, and this is the black one that I don't like as much. So yeah. So there's a Keekster. She was out in the yard. I was trying to get good. Pictures because we have a calendar contest for our breed. There's a cute. Here you go. There's to play with me cute. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sweet, cute baby with dingo teeth. We called her Cerberus this morning because she was, like, in a mood. Yeah, she's going to lose that fluff really quick, actually. The fluff that you can almost see it, but the black stripe down her back is getting a little flatter. You can kind of see here, how the tan fluff stands up a little more and how the black is a little flatter. That's her adult coat. Her adult coat will start to come in down the middle and then spread. But yeah, she was definitely Cerberus this morning. So I was getting cute pictures, and then I finally got the calendar picture. So that's a really nice Kiki photo. So I submitted that one to our Shiloh Shepherd calendar contest. But yeah, look at the little ears, guys. The little ears. There they are. Yeah, the ears are, when they're at this stage, we like calling it a bad ear day. They're having a bad ear day. But it looks like Kikis are going to stand. Like, they're both up to a point. I mean, this one's a little bit more saggy at this point, but it's still up. So she might have friendly ears as an adult, but I think her ears are going to be up. Friendly meaning they wave at you and they bounce toward you. That's what friendly ears are. It's another word for soft ears. So we'll see how strong they are when she's full grown, but I think they're going to go up. If they're up before teething, they'll usually go down at teething, just because I think the chewing muscles are all attached, like all up to the top of the head like that. So when they're really working those mouth muscles when they're teething, the ears can kind of go up and down. So yeah, so there's we go. There's our Keekster. Let's see, do I have any others? No, I have some pictures from her, the litter evaluation, actually, of her siblings. So that is her brother Vax. Cynthia takes such good pictures, and that I think is Percy, one of the very curly. He's the very curly black puppy, and then we had, I think that is Pike, maybe. But yeah, so that was when I was there at 8 weeks for the litter evaluation. So Cynthia is our photographer. She's also a breeder in training. And she took some really good photos. So then there's some boring stacked photos, which you guys probably don't care about because you're not like canine structure enthusiasts or anything. But yeah, we had some nice photos of the puppers taken. That's Scanlan. He's the green boy. He's the super happy puppy. There is Vex, who I was very much fond of. I really like. That's a nice moving shot of her. She has nice movement. And that's her again, pink girl. Yeah, Percy does look like a black sheep, and there's Vex with her big smile on. And that's Pike for sure. Pikey. And then there's Kiki at the LER, running around like she does, like a dingo. And there's Kiki again. Yeah, so Cynthia, and there's Kiki again. think we've all got Kiki. And there's Vex saying hi. So that was the guys at 8 weeks. Oh, and then there's the composite of all the puppies and how they look so different. So I think Percy, Pike, Vax, Vex, Grog, Kiki, and Scanlan. But yeah, Cynthia is my friend and breeder and breeder in training, and she's also she's long been an amateur photographer, and now she's actually trying to transition to professional. So she takes our photos for these important LERs, like the outcross ones, where we need good documentation. It's very cool of her. All right, let's get our colors out. We need indigo and surf aqua. I want to kind of block in this water today with the blue that I'm going to make from mixing these two colors. Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah, ours is a little demon, but she has her moments. Some days she's the sweetest Keekster, and some days she is just like, oh my god, like Cerberus. Dingo, major dingoes, which is puppies, you know, so. Okay, man, guys, I have 5 weeks till National Novel Writing Month. I think I might be screwed, but I'm gonna make a run for it anyway. And of course, this week I have to catch up on all the Patreon I missed from being sick, because I definitely got behind on where I wanted to be. So I want to try to get everything out to you guys, who are my patrons, by the end of the month. Although I suspect that a couple things might get pushed to like the 1st or 2nd of next month, just cause I just can't avoid it. I only have so many spoons. I can only do so much in a day before I get exhausted. Yes, there's all my things, guys. And I'm planning to also do 2 fundamentals videos at the end of the month. Layering and glazing will be this month for fundamentals on my YouTube channel, which is the second from the bottom link there. And yeah, and there's my Patreon on there. So yeah. And I did not stream on Saturday. I actually forgot I even had a stream on Saturday. That was how bad I felt. I was like, I think at 4 p.m. I was like, oh, I should have streamed. And I was like, no way was I streamed. Man, gastroenteritis. Don't ever have it. Just don't. I've had it 3 times in my life. And yeah, nobody enjoys that. It's just bad. Terrible. And on top of the fact that I was still trying to get back to 100% from the Crohn's thing, like, it was just like punishment. Like, ugh. It was the super terrible icing on top of the crappy cake. It's just like, so now I'm trying to crawl back, and I'm like taking it so easy. Oh my god. Like, bland food is me. I can't even eat, I'm not even letting myself eat plant matter. Like, I let myself have some beef soup last night that had vegetables that had been cooked, you know, beyond. And I was able to eat that. So there's progress. But man, yeah, it's just not fun, guys. Hey, Twisted Oma. Triple sub anniversary, triple sub anniversary, triple sub anniversary. Happy triple sub anniversary. There, I can still sing. You have been here for a while. Thank you for the supports and the finger hearts. All right, so I'm going to just get my colors kind of set out. I'm going to get 4 drops of the Rich Indigo. That is the primary kind of deep color on Mr. Fishy. And I'm going to get out my Surf Aqua out, and I'm going to do a mix of these. I want to really get the blues mocked in so I can start, as I get the arms and everything, I'm going to be getting a better sense of color composition and what we need to do for the rest of the figure. So, yeah. I mean, I get sick. I don't catch colds, right? I don't catch the flu. But I do have a weak gastro system, so every once in a while, and it's been a while, like, you know, you guys know, I'm pretty darn dependable, all things considered, as far as this stream goes, but this lately, woof, it's just been a battle. I'm just trying to be patient and not get impatient and try to push it too fast, because I want to be back to normal, because I want my energy back. Because I want to be able to get crap done. I've got a wedding. Hello? A wedding in 3 weeks, and I don't have a dress for it yet because I had no energy to go dress shopping on Sunday. I felt terrible. Yesterday I was just like, I was starting to get better, but when I went out to the, just walked to the grocery store, and I was just like, oh. It's like you feel at home, you don't feel as bad as you feel when you like go out in the world and you feel suddenly you realize how you don't feel good. It's weird how that happens. Because I was like, I feel okay. And then the minute I got out the door, I was just like, oh my God. It was just so evident that I was not 100%. Let's just mix this way. So I'm just going to put 1 drop there because that's going to, with my blue that I'm mixing, because 1 drop of water, because it is going to be a base coat. So I want it to be thicker. Oh my gosh. Scottish cat almost had a sofa falling incident. All right, so that's a pretty, actually it's hard to see because there's the white palette is really bringing it out. So let me see if I can block off enough of this white stuff for you guys to get an idea of that blue. It's actually darker. Yeah, there it is. That's a bit better. So it is actually, it's even darker than it looks there. Like it's looking really light on my camera. This is also darker, the rich indigo. Right, exactly. I don't want any setbacks, Cornico. At this point, I just want to get back to good. Or as close to good as we can get. So I've like, I mean, the fried egg sandwiches are nice for lunch. I'm never allowed to have those. I'm allowed to have, weirdly, because bread is like kind of absorptive, like plain white bread doesn't really offend your systems if you're not like celiac. And since gluten-free is a choice for me and not a necessity, I've actually been able to have, like, bread is one of the few things that will not offend my stomach right now, which is so weird. All right, so let's get, I think I want a little bit, I think I'm going to need a little more of this. So I did, I think, a 3-to-1 on this, and I'm going to do actually 3 more drops of the Surf Aqua and 1 more of the Rich Indigo. I need a lot to cover the water down here. So let's just do this and 1 more drop of, so now we're at 8 drops. We're going to do an 8-to-2 or a 4-to-1 for our base coat. There. I used to love them, like as a kid and especially in college. Like that was one of my favorite things. Fried egg sandwich, and David gets grossed out because I use Kraft singles instead of real cheese, but I can't chance the actual like dairy really. Also, the Kraft singles melt better. Let's just face it, even if they are a cheese food product and not actual cheese. But they don't offend my stomach, and that's the important thing. So yeah, so it's a grilled cheese fried egg sandwich. So it's like you eat kid food when you're sick, and that's my kid food. All right, got glasses. Alrighty, here we go. So today, Kiki and me, after stream, are going to go and sit in our driveway and watch strange dogs and strange people and strange vehicles and all sorts of fun stuff go by. She definitely needed to take it slower with that kind of outside world socialization, which is weird. She does okay at puppy class, although I had to skip puppy class this week because of me, but she definitely needs more like just sitting and watching the world go by. All right, so these are cloth, and then the water comes out down below. So let's start popping that blue in there. I have no biases toward the rest of the model at this point as far as colors, so I really want to just get the colors I know in. And then I can start to form kind of some ideas. So I'm definitely painting this one piecemeal where I'm just going 1 color at a time. The danger of painting this way is that you can get yourself caught in a color corner and end up repainting something. So that's the downside of not starting with kind of a clear, complete color idea for your model. But you certainly can do it this way, and I often do. At least for details, like as you all know, I just kind of like, sometimes I have an idea of the 2 primary colors, but then I wait to kind of see what I want to use for details or accents. Yeah, grilled cheese. Yeah, plastic cheese. Yeah. We call it miracle cheese here, Curtico, and the reason is that dogs will do anything for it, so it's like a freaking miracle. Kiki actually let me cut her nails with David feeding her miracle cheese this weekend, and that's something that always works for all of our Shilohs, so it got the name miracle cheese. So, Kraft Singles, aka miracle cheese. So if I ever mention miracle cheese, that's because that's what I call it. Because yeah, Kiki got all of her front claws trimmed this weekend successfully, which is, you know, on a dingo, on a 14-week-old dingo, is pretty impressive. She's 14 weeks today, guys. My little Cerberus is growing up, and I finally got the complete write-up of her litter evaluation. I finally got it posted on our Shiloh Shepherd Club group last night. If you guys are ever interested in following our breed, our official kind of public Facebook group is called Shiloh Shepherd Community. The other Shiloh social groups are run by the other registries and are not really, like, they're not something that necessarily is in line with what we do. But if you're ever interested in the dogs and Kiki's breed, Shiloh Shepherd Community. And I'll be posting up Kiki and her sibs and my write-up of the litter probably in a couple days. It goes up for our dog club first, and then it goes public. Lots of pretty pictures on that Facebook group if you like how my dogs look. How the Keekster, and I'll be posting some Keekster stuff too because I want to publicize how interesting it is that this litter ended up going very much, she feels like a Shiloh, like other than the bitiness, which I have not experienced with my other Shilohs. She's very, I'm fuzzy. I'm very fuzzy right now. There we go. No, it's not tentacles, it's water, I think, Pendrake. It's water with bubbles in it, if you look. Yeah. Yeah, the lactase or the lactate. Yeah. I haven't gone there because I normally just avoid regular dairy. I'm very much a coconut milk kind of girl. Coconut milk, coconut cream. I'll do soy milk in a pinch, but I prefer the coconut. And then if I need cheese, like for eggs or anything, for scrambled eggs or whatever, I'll normally use we'll go pecorino. I'll go goat milk or sheep's milk, so I use feta. Sheep's milk, feta, and goat milk, pecorino romano, instead of Parmesan. And that is fine with me, as long as it's not cow's milk. Cow's milk will upset me if I have too much. So, yeah, I feel it. I just haven't gone to taking the tablet, because I just hate, kind of defining. Like, I hate having to take pills, so I've found ways around it. You're an oat milk guy? Yeah, for sure, Red Links. I got that. Yeah, and I mean, that's what I've got Crohn's, so, or they think I've got Crohn's. I don't know. I need to follow up with the specialist and finally get it kind of nailed down if we can, what I've got, but I kind of want to wait. I'm about to change health insurances because of marriage, so, and as long as I'm not, like, immediately, like, freaking out, and my system isn't freaking out, I'm tempted to wait a little longer. But yeah, we don't know what I have. It was a tentative diagnosis of my Crohn's, and it fits Crohn's in a lot of ways, but in some ways it doesn't. So there's our blue coming down. Yeah, you can find the A2, right? Milk, the cattle. Like, you can increasingly find it a little bit more and more, but you have to really look for it, and a lot of stores don't carry it, and it depends on the area of the country, Curnico. So, like, I can find it here in California, but I could not find it anywhere in, like, the Midwest. So, and actually, when it comes down to it, I've hated milk since I was a child. Like cow's milk, I've hated it since I was a kid. I had to make myself drink it, and it almost made me gag. Like, I always had to, like, try to eat something and then drink a bunch of it so that the food was, like, overpowering the taste of it. So, like, I don't care if it's lactose-free milk. I'm not touching it. So the coconut milk's far better for me. Okay. Well, yeah, you're better than like North Dakota and Wisconsin then, Agent Marvel. I'm sure there are places in North Dakota and Wisconsin where I could find some of the lactose-free milk, but when I was recently there, I had trouble. It depends on the stores, I'm sure. Right, yeah. Yeah, and it's expensive, right? Yeah, because they figure they can price it up. All right, cool. So there we go. So we've got the blue kind of mapped in, and now I'm going to back out a little bit. I want to look at this guy. So I'm going to be shading this probably pretty strongly with my indigo. And then I'm going to bring it up with, I probably won't bring it up with the teal. I'll probably bring it up with white. I need to differentiate like his skin from like the water down here. So darkening it with the indigo will help to make it a little less distracting. It's pretty good balance though right now, but I feel like here's the dealio, guys. If you put dark colors near the bottom of a figure, they help to kind of anchor the figure, but it can also make your figure a little less dynamic. So here, I didn't want to make all the water like a dark blue. I decided to make it more of a medium color, and then I'll just add in the indigo to shade it. And since the water is a very dynamic shape, that'll let me make kind of my dark colors, keep them kind of in a swirling pattern, which should keep the kind of the dynamic feel of the lower part of the figure, and keep him from being a little bit too like stodgy, for lack of a better term. Yeah, almond milk, I'll do almond milk. I love almond flour, but almond milk is just, there's something about the flavor that I'm just like, meh, meh. You know, everybody's got their favorite not milk. Oh, yeah. Cheez-Its, yep. Yep. I think also, Kuriko, like, don't correct me if I'm wrong here, but I remember reading about the A2 milk and that most of the cattle that produce it are actually Europeans. So, like, there aren't a lot of people over here producing that sort of milk. Like, the dairy farmers were committed to their original cow stock. So, that may be why it's cheaper for you. Yeah, David prefers 2%. Yeah, I know, right, Chibi? There's so many options now. I'm happy because, you know, years ago when I went gluten free, there was like very little, and now there's tons of options, you know, once I can get away. That's really interesting, Pendrake, that they managed to dodge with that. Because that technically somebody should hit them with the truth in advertising. Because if they're actually putting if they're actually putting lactose free on the packaging, they should get nailed by the FDA for that. All right, I'm going to line around this. So I'm going to I'll grab, I think I've been using either Rogue Shadow or Walnut. I'll use Rogue Shadow today. Yeah, A2 milk is different. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize it was so short duration, Quindy. That's good to know. All right, I'm going to mix up my other colors here because I am going to want this indigo to shade, and I'm going to want it up top as well. And then I'm going to mix up my Surf Aqua and get that going on. I have ice cream made with A2 milk, and I'm super happy because I can actually have that. It's really, I forget which brand it is, but it's like, they make a pistachio cardamom flavor, and it's amazing. But I'm totally into Indian flavors, so that's why I love that. Cardamom is my favorite flavor these days. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Chibi, be aware. I also was apparently lactose intolerant as a baby, and then I was able to have milk later on, but then toward like now in my life, it came back. Like around the time I turned 40, I had Dairy Queen one day. I don't remember why. I think it was a really stressful time before ReaperCon. I went to Dairy Queen and got myself like a peanut butter parfait or a Blizzard or something. Halfway through it, I just started feeling bad. So warn your chibi that just because they've gotten away from it, they should be alert to symptoms. Because I got an unpleasant surprise, just not being ready for it, and I've eaten a bunch of it. Didn't make me like really, really sick, but definitely like made me nauseated for the rest of the afternoon. Yeah, I don't know, Pendrake. Some terms aren't regulated yet. Like it may be that lactose free isn't an actual regulated term yet. Like they're, it depends, right? Yeah, yeah, I figured. You're a good mom. The Chibi family has a good mom, as we all know. I'm gonna just go 4-1 on this because I want a dark line. Oh no, I thought I was going 4-1, but then my traitorous dropper bottle had another idea. Well, now I'm gonna add 2 more drops of Rogue Shadow, and then I'll go 3-1. Good enough. It is very evident that you have raised your children well. They seem to be cool peeps. And I believe that moms and dads who can raise a good child are a huge boon to society. So kind of like I believe that like dog owners who can raise a good dog are a great boon to society. Yeah, I knew that, Thormel. I do have a really good high quality Parmigiano. Depends on how sensitive you are, though. Yeah, and that's kind of my philosophy actually. If I'm gonna eat cheese, I'm gonna eat a really good cheese. But yeah, Parmesan I can have. I just tend to default to Pecorino Romano unless it's a recipe that really calls for Parm, which I do have a couple that do call for Parmesan specifically, and then we indulge. I like to buy the expensive Parmesan anyway because then you get the rind, and I use the rind for enhancing soups. I make a Italian wedding soup that utilizes a bit of duck broth in addition to the chicken and a Parmesan rind. It's killer. Parmesan rind adds so much depth of flavor. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Hey, being a foodie, foodies are awesome. Like, as one, that's what's killing me right now. Is like, I have all this awesome stuff that I can make, all this food, this great food, and I can't make any of it because I can't eat any of it. So I was so happy to make the beef stew yesterday because, although the beef was taking a chance, my stomach actually really liked it last night. So it's nice to be able to cook again and actually eat what I cook. David got stuck eating our leftovers because I couldn't. Cool. That's good that it works for you, Pendrake. Hey, whatever works. Like, when it comes to health, it's whatever works. Yeah, specifically like chicken-based soups. And I tend to cook at least one duck during the winter, so I make duck broth and then I freeze it in batches. And then I use mostly chicken stock, but a bit of the duck broth or duck stock. I guess it's technically duck bone broth because I put it in the pressure cooker and I use the whole carcass. But yeah, using part of a Parmesan rind when you're simmering your broth to turn it into soup, or when you're simmering your stock with your vegetables to turn it into soup, it's a really good. Gives you a really good result. All right, so we've got a nice heavy shadow. Remember that big filler like this on the underside of things. On this side, I can definitely see this area, right? And technically it's like underneath, so it should be nothing. I've painted it really dark. Once I decide what color this cloth is, I'm probably going to fade in a little bit of that color into this heavy shadow because this is such a thick thing and you can still see it because you can see these big blocks of shadow. So I do want to blend it in a little bit, but then I'll keep the shadow down really close to the water. I'll just blend it in a little bit. On this side, because you can't see those big blocks without turning the model upside down, I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm just going to leave these big blocks underneath because nobody is really going to see them. So it just needs to be painted dark. Yeah, with the Italian wedding soup, I use pork meatballs, and I cook the meatballs actually in the soup, which gives you that great rich pork flavor as well in the broth. And then that with the Parmesan rind and everything else just makes it like really like savory and rich and great mouthfeel. It's just a really good soup. It's been killing me that I can't make it because I have all the ingredients. But I thought the pork was going to be a little bit too much for me right now. So I made some regular old chicken and soup instead. So we're going to do a little bit more lining, and then we're going to come back and we are going to start getting these arms filled in. I think we're pretty good. I just wanted to get everything kind of edged around like I like to do. And now we are ready for fish arms. Fish arms, fish arms. Both processes are perfectly valid for it to be called lactose-free milk. Interesting. So they just haven't labeled it. I see. Okay, so adding the lactate actually breaks it down so it still counts. That makes sense. That makes sense then, why it gets away with being called lactose-free. Because if they're using if that's what the lactate or chemical does, is break it down into the point where it's sugars and it's no longer lactose, then that makes sense. It would be lactose-free, even though they're just adding the thing, but the chemical process would make it lactose-free. That makes sense. Thanks, Agent Marble. I love learning this stuff. Oh yeah, there's lots of dairy allergies out there. Yeah, flabby fish arms. Oh, Dr. Demento, that's been a long time. All right, I'm going to I need to get a little bit of I need to thicken up my rich indigo to start this, because the one thing about rich indigo is it is a bit translucent, so you do need to use it like 5:1 as a base coat. Yeah, I like learning science facts like that. It's cool. And I always am curious about that because truth in advertising is a thing with me. I get very disgusted by deceptive advertising. Companies will do whatever they can to get your money. So I'm always interested in things like that. But especially because, with beer, it's like they can only call it gluten removed. They can't call it gluten free if they've done that kind of filtering process. So I was curious as to why milk was not kind of more stringently labeled. Yeah. Yeah, I like it that we are curious people. Being curious is the way to go through life. All right, so now I've got more like a 6:1. So now I'm going to get a decent coverage with my rich indigo. Ooh, it's going to want to bead, though. No beading. I might need to give it a beating. I mean, I might need to add even more. So sometimes, even though I wash this model, sometimes you will get an area of the bones black or traditional bones that does resist paint a bit. I usually find that if I just go straight up, no thinning on the paint, that it'll solve the problem. I also tend to put it on a little thicker in that area. And I will also often just kind of scrub it with my brush, which seems to help at times if it's beading. As you know, you guys haven't watched me paint so many bare bones models on this show. As you know, I very seldom have trouble with coverage, even using thinned paint as I do. I'm going to do some wet blending. But every once in a while I'll run into it. But it's, so in this case, with wet blending, I've just put a dab of that aqua down, and I'm going to just kind of work it together. Though because I'm having a little problem with the coverage, I may decide to back out and just put a base coat down and then do the wet blending over the top, because if you're having trouble with coverage, you want to get that solid base coat on before you do your blends. because then you're just going to have issues with the coverage. You'll get your blend, but you'll have a hole in it because your coverage wasn't perfect. So yeah, I'm going to just do that. I'm going to set it up, and I'll go back and I'll blend over the top of that again. So let's just get our base coat on. That's an okay blend, but interesting. Yeah, if you've got canned coconut milk, the best way to use it is Thai and Indian curries, frankly. If you like that, if you like the food. I love Thai and Indian curry, so. I haven't decided really whether to make. That's right. We were thinking about making the hands dark or light. I may go mid grade. We'll see. I'm gonna put teal the surf aqua on them for now. The thing is, I want the claws to show up, but I also want the staff to show up as well. So I have to figure out alternating dark and light, what I'm going to be doing here. So for now, we'll do surf aqua claws. And I may take them up highlighting like this. Take them close to the off-white. I was originally thinking dark, but I know I want the staff to be dark. Honestly, when I'm feeling really lazy, the Trader Joe's, if you have a Trader Joe's near you, they have a yellow curry and a red curry simmer sauce. That's essentially like, I just put it in a pan with, first I do the vegetables and some lemongrass and garlic and ginger. But then I just add a small can of coconut milk to the actual simmer sauce, and it makes the curry, expands the curry, and it's just fine. Like, the flavor is still good. So it makes 2 meals for us then. But it's one quick and easy way, because their yellow curry is pretty. I like their yellow. Their red is pretty okay, but I like the yellow a little better. But that's a way to use up your extra coconut milk, especially if you have the little cans instead of the big cans. Big cans are a little harder, then you probably want to actually do a curry. All right, so light pause. Yeah, we'll try light pause here. Oh, sunflower hearts. Yeah, I bet your birds do eat. Man, they're stuffing their little plump bodies. Yeah, David goes, that's David's grocery store of choice is Trader Joe's. Mostly because, when he was Bachelor Man before I came, he didn't do a lot of cooking, and Trader Joe's has a lot of prepackaged stuff that's easy to stuff in the microwave or whatever. And I'm always surprised how inexpensive Trader Joe's is. Like, we got some pretty good deals on chicken this weekend. We go through a lot of chicken because of Kiki. See, I can't knock your goldfinches, Perniko, because I spoil Kiki because she gets actual chicken breast cooked and cut up for training treats. I'm like, honestly, it's probably cheaper than buying the freaking dog treats these days. Like, seriously. Like, I can get a package of, like, chicken for, like, $10, or I can buy a little bag of treats for freaking $8. May as well just cook the chicken. Cook the chicken and dice it into training treats. That's what I've been doing. It feels like spoiling her until I do the cost comparison, and then I realize I'm actually saving money, which is just ridiculous. Seriously, dog companies trying to make a buck off of us and our pets. And most of those treats are crappy anyway. Chili with eggplant. Interesting, yeah. I love chili. I have my Texas chili recipe. But yeah, that's another thing that's kind of off the table till my gut gets a little better. Which is a shame because, yeah, it's fall here now. We'll finally, I think we had our last hot day this weekend. So a little bit of wet blending here just to bring up some stuff, but I'm going to take it darker too because look at how dark I took the top here. So I was using my Rogue Shadow a bit up there to darken down some of that area, and I'm going to be doing that here too, but first I want to set up my colors. Little grumpy faces sitting on the fence. I do not. Texas chili does not have beans in it, Pendrake. Texas chili, if beans are added, gets derogatorily called bean soup. I just never liked beans in chili because it's extra carbs and extra calories that I don't think the beans really enhance like the flavor. So for me, it was like when I found out that Texas chili also had no tomatoes, like most traditional Texas chilies do not involve tomatoes, just peppers. I was super thrilled because, you know, tomatoes are one of my triggers for my gut stuff. So Texas chili is where it's at for me. No beans, no tomatoes. Just chili peppers, onions, you know, various spices for flavor. And I usually do a beef and venison blend. Because I really love venison chili. Ha! I'll fight you, Sagebrush. I'll fight you. I know this is a hot topic. People get very sensitive about their chili. But I in my opinion, Texas chili, I can say Texas chili does not have beans, and that is why I like it. I cannot have it otherwise. I avoid beans most of the time. It's one of those things. New Mexico has some kick-ass breakfast food, though. Like, the breakfast tostada and the breakfast burrito are, in my opinion, superior in New Mexico. Like, the superior versions. Christmas with both colors of chili. That's a little white. Yes, hot topic. I went there. Ah, Thormel, you have never tried my chili then. Yes. It makes a lot of difference when you put a lot of like onion, and I usually chop up and add it's got onion and garlic obviously, but it's also I use at least 4 jalapenos and an Anaheim pepper because I really like their flavor. And I will sometimes add in like a poblano for color. And often I will roast those and deskin them. And also, like, usually I'll put in red bell pepper, again, for, like, a color, but also I love the flavor profile it gives when it's roasted. So I'll roast that. And when you've got all of those peppers actually running around, plus you've got the pepper powders, you know, the chili peppers, along with the regular pepper, and the onion, and the meat, and you've got both venison and beef, you'd be surprised at how good it is. But there's so many different kinds of chili out there, right? And then I make jalapeno corn muffins. Yay, Zachariah. Thank you. No beans. I often don't put chocolate in my chili. It's definitely valid, and I'm all about it, but it's chocolate can be a little weird on me sometimes if it's like straight up. Like, I have to watch it these days, which is so sad because I love chocolate. But I have to be careful about it. So I tend not to add it to my chili. I understand that it makes it very, very tasty, but... Alright, so blend it in a little bit more of the indigo up here so I can get this going on here. Yeah, cinnamon, I agree. I agree all day, Zachariah. Cinnamon is a great addition. Yes, Rubigon, I am here. I'm not 100%. I think I'm 75% in. Oh yeah, pumpkin chili. That's valid. Yeah, my jalapeno cornbread is a slightly sweet cornbread that I make. We're talking chili because it's fall. It's time for chili, Rubigon. So what's your poison? Like we've got various members of the beans or no beans clubs. We've got, you know, add chocolate, don't add chocolate. We've got tomatoes, no tomatoes. You know, what's your chili of choice? Everybody's got their favorite chili. Chili is so, like, individual. It's so funny. I love it. Everybody's got their own little thing that they do, and I love it. Let's see here. All right, now we're going to wet blend the hand, just like we did over here. Now, notice that a lot of this stuff doesn't match, right? I'm just, like, kind of doing wet blending, and I'm throwing that first layer on. You tune that with layering to make everything go together. Beans all day, kidney, and crushed tomatoes. Wow, your chili is poisonous to Anne's, but that's okay. It's your chili. You can have it however you want. Yeah, Val, I'm with you. No beans, super meaty and thick. Yep. Yeah, well, the Texas chili tends to be super meaty. It has to be because no beans. I probably put more vegetables in it than most Texans do. All right, we're going to pop some of this in here. We're going to just wet blend it in. Got to do a wet blending tutorial for my fundamentals. That'll be next month, no, like November 1st. I'll do wet blending. And then I almost have all my fundamentals videos like done. That'll be pretty much all the actual like start out stuff anyway, and then I can get a little bit more involved on specific topics on my fundamentals videos, like eyeballs and stuff. Eyeballs, detail painting, yada yada yada. Just kind of mix it all together on the model. Yeah, I go to New Mexico a lot, or I used to, but mostly Santa Fe area. But they have a really good farmers market in the Santa Fe area with some people who bring like their own, like the dried, homegrown dried chilies and stuff. It's good stuff. I am a fan of New Mexico, actually. Having spent a fair amount of time there. It's a beautiful state. Last time David and I went was right before the pandemic hit, and we went to Taos because we love art galleries, which is a beautiful drive from Santa Fe. But I haven't gotten to like the far-flung reaches of the state. There, so we've got that a little bit lighter there. Philadelphia chili. Oh, no beans, yep. Yeah, I'm familiar with Philly chili. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we have such diverse culinary tastes here. All right, let me see. I've got to darken down because of how I did a bit of a wash there. I'm going to actually build a wash with my Rogue Shadow to apply to the other side as well. We also haven't done a lot of blending on the other side of the face here, so we could definitely get that going on. Our fishy guy, though, is he's got his colors are coming along here. Like his fishy bits are almost all done, and then we can make some decisions about like what else I want to do with him. I am kind of going toward maybe an orangish leather on him. Even though I mean putting warm with cool, but I want the contrast, so I'm like, And I definitely need, I'm actually kind of maybe thinking, weird as this is, magenta for the vest and the cloth. Magenta being a cold red, so that can still work. Now that wouldn't work with, though, a very orange leather, so that means that if I do use the magenta, I'm going to need to go probably black leather with some of the leather. Or really dark brown. Because I'm choosing magenta, then you've got anything that's too orangey or too reddish in leather won't work. And yellow would be too light. I wouldn't want that to be distracting. I'm already going to be doing some gold or some bronze, so... All right. Okay, so one thing I do want to do is definitely touch up the hand here. It's definitely showing some of its bones through. That's cool, Twitchdo, but don't worry about the spelling. We can speak horrible like autocorrect. So if we can account for autocorrect, we can account for any spelling errors, really. But yeah, now I want chili, dang it. Come on, Guts, get better quick. So David started to paint one of his Journeyman miniatures models. I'm super jealous because, like, I just haven't had any time or energy for painting at all, which is the other sad about being sick, right? But he might actually have that done for in time for the competition that they're having online. And if you didn't know about that and you're a fan of their company, you should go look up. They've got a Facebook group, I think, Journeyman Miniatures Painting Competition. I don't remember what else is in it. But it's an online comp, so anybody can enter. And its deadline is in November, I believe. And they're really nice guys. Met them at Adepticon. Don't mind at all giving them a shout out on the show here. Wish that we could get them to ReaperCon. I think they're in the UK. There we go. So after I had that initial coat on, I just did a quick additional wet blend over the top here. Was able to lighten up this color bit so it matches the hand and leads naturally into it. And I have good coverage because I put down that solid layer first. Oh yeah, we just had a huge chili discussion, Trash. I'm come from the Texas camp and also the low carb camp, so I am anti-bean. But there are many pro-beaners in our chat. All right, I'm going to do some lining between the fingers to make the fingers and the claws stand out. I need to line around the bracelet also, and this bracelet over here. And I'll probably do a little bit of, I want a little color correct here. So like I said, layering is how you do this. So you're going to bring in the indigo that you wanted. And, oh, I've got a little bit of a spot I missed down here. Bring in the indigo, and then you're going to bring in a little bit of indigo in here. Just so that we have a logical lead in from this area to this area. Yeah, their website is very dangerous. Oh, Rubion, this is Rich Indigo. Everybody wanted Fish Guy to be indigo for some reason. So we went Rich Indigo and Surf Aqua. These guys. And when you mix them together, you actually get a pretty blue. So that's what I've been using for the water. You can also see it kind of in the transitions between blending the various areas. And then we're using Creamy Ivory for his fish belly white. Funny, Quindy. Oh man, Twisted Oma, your chili is deadly to me. That mini tomato is like, I could have, like, if I had a tiny taste, I would start having gastric upset. Enjoy your tomatoes. It's all yours. It's more for you. Hey, XP how's it going? So I'm using Rogue Shadow still for lining. I probably shouldn't be using a huge brush like this for lining, but oh well, why not? You can line with a big brush like this, but you just need to make sure that you've unloaded a lot of the paint and that you've shaped the tip into a very thin tip, nice and fine. But if you normally have problems controlling your paint, then you don't want to use a big brush like this for lining. You want to use more of a medium-sized, thinner brush. We've got some claws in here that I need to pick up. And there's a claw there. So just kind of like blocking in the claws in the shade so that I can come back and get them in a pale color later. This guy's wearing a ring. I thought it was mold line at first, but then it looks like it's actually a ring. So I'm gonna line around that to remind myself to paint it. Thumb ring. Yeah, I grew up on chili with tomatoes and with beans because the Midwestern chili almost always has both. But due to dietary crap now, I avoid both. I was actually kind of depressed when I first got, like, when my dietary stuff was getting diagnosed because I thought I couldn't have chili until I discovered Texas chili. And I'm like, that does not have anything that will react with me. So now I have my own recipe for that. There we go, doing some lining in here just to make it a little bit tighter. I always find that when I'm blending skin tones, I want to line around them. Once I've got them kind of blocked in, it gives me a better sense of how light or dark the area the skin actually is, and it also somehow, I don't know what it is, but the hard line helps me kind of see the blends, like assess the blends better. Having that hard line helps me kind of see my blends are doing okay. Hey, everybody has a unique chili. Asian Marble, it's all good. Anybody else a fan of venison chili like I am? Or are we doing, am I the sole venison chili fan? So I love a good venison chili. Although usually, to be fair, it's, you know, it's 50-50 beef and venison. Depends on where you live. In Wisconsin, you could do all venison. But the deer in Texas are what they eat. That gives them a really gamey flavor. So if you get Texas venison, you maybe want to cut it with beef. Gator tail gumbo, yeah. The red wine is a good point. It'll give it a slightly different profile. You could do that to get a certain umami kick to it underlying. You could, the acidity helps, but you could also just use vinegar. But yeah, the acidity is a good idea. Red wine vinegar, or cider vinegar, just a tiny bit. But the red wine is probably, especially if you're doing a tomato one, or for that matter, I mean, red wine is traditionally used in beef dishes. So, beef and pork. Cool, Kodiak. Yes, solidarity, venison chili. Growing up in Wisconsin, where of course venison was actually pretty easy to find, and then in Texas, you will also find venison chili here and there. So I've both places that I've mostly lived have had a venison chili tradition. I do miss not being able to get venison as easily as I did in Wisconsin. Here it's more a rarity. I think you have to look. It's very seasonal. I think I've seen fresh venison just once at a Whole Foods in California. Oh, you do that. You enjoy the cooking and you do the cleanup. That's a pretty good deal. Venison burritos. Yeah, that sounds yummy. Alrighty, just getting those last lines in around here. Making some good progress on Fishy Dude today. David is staying home today to help me with the puppy, so he's working from home. The puppy has actually been quiet for that reason, though she was a little devil this morning. Absolute devil. There are days when she is definitely an angel dog, and I can see like that she's going to be a super sweet dog when she's an adult. But then the puppy teeth kick in, and we get the dingo again. She's getting better. She was just really bad this morning, was like a relapse, because she's actually been getting a lot better about her teeth. But we're going to hit teething season in another couple weeks, so I've armed myself with bully sticks. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the nice thing in the Midwest is there is a lot of deer hunting and there's a lot of good quality venison. Thormel, you guys are lucky. All right, I think we're doing pretty well here. Okay, so now I need to thin down. I need to make kind of a wash to put over the little pebbly bits on his skin so I can darken him down to the level of this and this. This is one of the areas I would use a wash on because those are so fine. All right, so 1 drop of Rogue Shadow, 4 drops of Brush On Sealer, 2 drops of water. Instead of guac, I would use diced avocado, but I like if I'm in the mood to deal with the dairy, then yeah, sour cream and cheddar are good things. David likes those, and we do use the raw onion. Chopped cilantro also. I'm just shaking up my. Remember to shake your brush on sealer really, really well, as the matting agent does tend to settle out over time. You want to make sure that most of that is up off the bottom of the bottle. And now we can make our wash. One drop of Rogue Shadow. I need to pop this probably with a pokey tool here. Yeah, Tabasco is good because it gives it that vinegary kick, right? It gives you the acidic. Same with Cholula. Rice cookie coconut milk. I have a new recipe for that, and it's super tasty. And then 2 drops of water or brushfuls. Then mix and assess. If it seems too thick, add some water. If it seems, and by thick I mean kind of goopy feeling. If you need more transparency, add more brush on sealer. You judge transparency by watching how it falls off the side of the palette here. This is pretty strong still, but it is going to dry lighter than it looks, remember, because a wash will always dry lighter than it looks. So I'm going to use a little bit of this over here. We'll just do a test. I mostly kept it up near the crest on this side, so we're doing that. I haven't done the crest on that side at all. So we'll probably still have a bit of work to do on this model. Remember to pool the wash. You don't want to just paint it over the surface. You want it to actually pool. And then what I can do to blend that in is I can just rinse out my brush. Use a little bit of the damp brush to kind of feather the edge here. There we are. Yeah, I like Cholula better, Valander. I use Cholula on breakfast. We do our special breakfast on Sundays. It's good on potatoes and onions. So a big blob of wash going down, and then rinse out. Oh, actually, Lisana, you can find the formulation on my YouTube too. I did a how to make your own washes video. But it's 1 drop, in this case, of liner, which my particular liner is Rogue Shadow right now. So that's a liner paint, which means it's actually got a more fluid and more translucent formulation than a normal Master Series paint. You can also use brown liner. If I had brown liner right here, I'd be using it. But Rogue Shadow is what I've got on my plate right now. 4 drops of Reaper's Brush On Sealer and 2 drops of water. So yeah. You can use that to make any wash, any of our paints into a wash. If you use it with a regular paint that's got a lot of coverage, you might need to add a little bit more sealer. If you use it with, if you use that formulation with a different paint brand that tends to be thicker, then you're probably going to need to add more water. But when I say add more sealer or more water, I'm not saying several drops. I'm saying like 1 drop and kind of test it. But as you can see, this dries pretty translucent. You can see it there on the palette. If I wanted it even more so, I would have added another drop of sealer. But yes, I have a whole video on how to do this, and it's over on my YouTubes, on my Fundamentals of Mini Painting series, which talks about a lot of stuff like how to apply a wash and how to mix your own and all that kind of stuff. So you can always reference any of my techniques here, and pretty soon I'll have either end of this month or beginning of next, I'll have 2 new videos up on layering and glazing. So at that point, you'll almost have all of the basic techniques up that you can always reference over on my YouTube. And it's, yeah, it's the second. Quindy's got it there. It's second from the bottom, second link from the bottom, the CUTT link there. So yes, and I appreciate all the follows. I'm trying to get to 1,000, so thank you everybody who has given me a YouTube follow. And I'm just going to take some of my Surf Aqua and throw some layering on here just to get a little bit of a highlight on parts of the arm. Anybody else like fresh chopped cilantro on top of their chili? I really like it. But I know cilantro tastes like soap to a lot of people, so. Alright, and a little bit of highlight over here. Mostly it's killing me that I can't like bake right now, like since my gut has been so stupid. Because it's baking season, guys. It's baking season. It's fall. I'm so excited that it's fall and it's baking season that I haven't been able to bake. And I'm going to bring in a little bit more of that layering over here. I want to kind of tie these areas together on top of the arm. Yeah, cilantro's good in tacos. That's why I add a little bit to my chili, especially if I'm using like diced avocado. I say it adds it adds an herby note you usually don't get. You just don't like it, yeah. Yeah, I add it to guacamole because I feel that if there's no cilantro in the guacamole, it really is not, it just doesn't taste quite right to me. So I may be a big cilantro user, relatively speaking. And I have not thinned this Surf Aqua enough for it really to be a good layering paint, so I need to grab some water and thin it a little more. New code, thank you, 34 months. Wow. So many of you have been here for a while. We appreciate your support immensely. Getting just a little bit more highlighting up here. I think that little spot is giving me a problem. There we go. And I need to highlight a little bit more on this side to make it more like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Coriander and cilantro are from the same plant. Mm-hmm. I have both in my kitchen. Both. Use both. Use a lot of coriander in Indian cooking. And cilantro, for that matter, as a finisher. Garnish. So this arm is up, so it makes sense that it's going to catch a little bit more of the light and be a little lighter than this arm that's more pointed down. But I do need to bring in a little bit more of the surf aqua on the upper side of that lower arm. That's a very bright baby dragon, Valandar. Sounds like a very vibrantly colored baby dragon. And I'm just going to blend in a little bit more of highlights just here on the lower arm. Since I took up Indian cooking during the pandemic, I have all these different spices that I never had in my cupboards before. Plus side is I can now make almost any recipe known to man. So layering is just about adding up very thin layers of color, and you can pretty much like add them just one after the other because it's so thin and you're putting so little paint down that the minute you pull your brush up, it's dry again. All right, so as you can see the highlight coming up there. Beans probably turn a bit mushy, but you know, it's chili, so I don't think you'd really have too much of a issue. Hey, Sig Wolf. We were talking about chili because it's fall, it's chili season. Once my gut gets back to normal, I'll make some chili. David really loves my jalapeno cornbread. It's his favorite part, I think. The chili is good, but the jalapeno cornbread is what he really loves. Just taking in some of the rich indigo and bringing that out a bit with a bit of shading. No, not in this chat. You're right at home, Sig, in this chat. There were a lot of pro-beaners in this chat. I leave them out because I have to be the low carb, but... And I've never felt really that they add a lot, in my opinion, but there are many people here in the chat who really like beans in their chili. For the texture or the profile that it gives or whatever. So you are not alone. Here we have many, many people who enjoy bean chili. There we go. Just bringing in, again, that thinned, rich indigo. Kind of create that transition, that blend here. Team bean. Just bringing up some of this color. I want to maybe bring up a little bit more highlights over here too. Yeah, that makes sense, Valandar. If it's a garnish, it's different. if I'm going to have any beans, and I do try to avoid them these days, but if I have them, black beans are my preferred bean. So you can see kind of the highlight coming up through here and the shadow right there, defining the muscle. Layering is not a fast technique, but it does enable smoother blending if that's what you are in the mood for. The thicker you use your paint, the more you're going to see brush strokes, but the more you can suggest textures if that's what your groove is. I just made jambalaya the other day, speaking of Nolans. Right before I got sick, sadly, so David got to eat the leftovers, and we had to freeze a bunch of them because I couldn't eat them. Actually found some andouille sausage, so I was super happy with that. Used to do more with my pork. When I have pork leftovers, I used to do more of a Cuban rice kind of thing, but then I have to actually eat rice. Although I do half and half cauliflower and regular. So lately, instead, I've been making it, kind of tossing it together into more of a jambalaya kind of thing. Just dicing it up and using it as a component. And then I can just put it over my cauliflower rice. I don't have to eat the extra carbs. So that's kind of a bonus. Quindy. Sadly, we don't have a sound bite. Yeah, New Mexico, definitely. Yep, definitely. Yeah, we were talking about how much the food in Santa Fe is awesome earlier. So I've been to Santa Fe many, many times. It's one of my favorite cities on the planet. I was very happy that before the pandemic hit, I managed to get David there with me because I thought he would like it, and he did. I thought he would enjoy it. If you like food, if you like Southwestern food, you must make it to Santa Fe at some point. They do have their own traditional cuisine, as mentioned, and it's different and it's super tasty. Bye, Thormel. All right, unloading my huge brush since I'm trying to do this layering with a huge brush. Veronica, that's funny. All right, I'm going to highlight the hand of it here. We need to get a bit more of our highlights. I took it down by mixing a lot of the indigo into the teal, but now I need the palms and everything to come out a bit with more highlighting. So I need to bring in my Surf Aqua a bit more here. There will be an additional highlight on top of the Surf Aqua as well. I'm just not quite to there. I'm trying to get everything to look kind of like it belongs together here on the hands and everything. It's I need to line the hand up here too. I've just noticed a mold line I need to pull off because that's of course a thing every time. It's on the underside of the nail, so I missed it. Don't say Nolans, huh? New Orleans, I don't know. I feel compromised no matter how I say it because I've, one, never been there, although my mother says it's my kind of city. She has been. And two, I come from a Midwestern upbringing, which totally destroys any, name that has any sort of, ethnic background, I swear. Like, if it's French, like, just God help you. That's all I'm saying. The pronunciations are atrocious. New Orleans? New Orleans. Like that? New Orleans? Is that correct, Quindy? Close? Yes. New Orleans. All right, cool. I can remember that. Then I won't sound like a total heathen if I come to visit. It's always been a city I'd like to get to. And just haven't. Just never got onto the radar. So I'm getting a bit more definition up here on the palm. That's how they say it in Wisconsin. Wisconsin. There, give you my full accent. But New Orleans is not, not correct by my. I've always thought that was not the correct pronunciation. And Quindy's a native, so we're going with her. Although I bet that there are small regional variations. I'm sure you'd probably agree, Quindy, that different cultures in the area or different areas might pronounce it slightly different. Ah, okay. Orleans Avenue or Orleans Parish. Otherwise, it's New Orleans. Thank you for the lesson, Quindy. Quindy's giving us lessons today in how to talk about her city. I appreciate this because I always hate sounding like a total foreigner when I go places, and I hate offending people by pronouncing their city wrong. It's like people who go to Scotland and say Edinburgh instead of Edinburgh. There we go. So a little extra shading there on the palm really helps bring out the musculature. Makes you cringe. That's cool. That's fair, Quindy. There's an Orleans in France, and it is more Orléans, I think. Orléans? Yeah, Waxahachie. Don't even get me started. Like, that's such a horrible mishmash of, like, native, like, phonetics and, like, whacked out spelling. Like, oh man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's so many different. Oh my God, yeah, there's terrible. Oh dear. So many ways to go wrong pronouncing place names. I always just would ask. Like if I was going somewhere or I was referring to something, and I would stop and I'd go, "How do you pronounce this, guys?" Whoever I was talking to, so that I wouldn't totally butcher it, making a bad attempt. Alrighty. Now I need a little bit of lining. This guy has rings on these fingers too. Definitely need to go back and do some more highlighting on the back here as well. We are almost done with stream. So always line between the fingers, always, always, always. You can, with webbing like this, I usually choose not to line it as it's an integrated part of the skin, but you can if you wish. If I lined it, I would make the lining a little lighter, a little less strong. This guy has so many rings on. He's like into it. He's got serious bling. Fish guy got bling. Yes, the 3 rules of Gaelic. Yes, read the letters, pronounce 3 wrong. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I learned a little bit of Gaelic back in college. I was very into like Celtic folk music and stuff like that. So when I went to Ireland, I made an effort to learn some of the pronunciations. So sometimes I can manage names without too much mangling, but like as far as Welsh goes, like oh, it's all out. Like nobody knows how to pronounce Welsh except for the Welsh, I think. It's crazy talk. All right. I just don't even try. All right, lots of rings on fingers to be lined. He is shiny. Alrighty, I think that gives us lining and most of our highlighting and shading basics. I still need to do the back of the fin on this side of the head. I still need to do a lot of blending on this side of the head, so maybe that we'll tackle that next time along with more highlighting and bringing in some lighter tones on the hands and fingers and then the water. But we are moving it right along now with our fishy guy. We're getting a lot better sense of where our blues and indigos are and our aquas. So yeah, a lot of painting and chili talk. But yeah, so as I go along here, I'm still thinking the magenta might be a really good color for this, actually. Magenta might be fun. We give him a bright purpley pink vest and cloth down here. It'd really like, it would be a very festive, you know, if we're thinking of him as a water genie, it would definitely be in character there. Plus he's got little bangles and stuff. We can do those in gold. A lot of little bangly design down here. That'd be fun, and gold would go fine with magenta. So yeah, so I'm seriously thinking about giving him a fabulous magenta vest and draperies down here. And since it's right up here near his face, it would be okay to make that bright of a color because it just continues to attract attention here. And then you've got little touches of it down here. And you could de-emphasize it a bit down here too. Alrighty. So yeah, he's coming along pretty well, guys. You can see the water there. It's an unusual color for him, so I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think Fishy Guy's coming right along. So tomorrow, assuming that I continue improving, let's all just cross fingers for my health at this point, we are back to Carpet Merchant. And I've got a bunch of gold and leather still to do, although our gold is really coming along. I really like the touches of it and how it's kind of rippling on his cloth here. So we may continue with our gold and also work more on the cool freehand back here. I think that's what I'm kind of in the mood for. Get some of this purple, it's just blocked in right now, but get some of the purple and gold kind of touched up and done back here. So yeah, Carpet Merchant is tomorrow. And yeah, I still haven't decided on an accent color for his little gems there. I'll have to think about it. Thinking about it. I almost want to go yellow. Like really bright yellow. I don't think any other color is coming to mind on him, on that big gem, other than maybe an off-white. Doing it like a big like cut of pearl or shell. But yep. So there we go, guys. So thanks for hanging in there with me. Sorry I've been absentee for like 4 days while my guts had a huge rebellion. Hopefully things will get back on the upswing for the Anne, and we will be good and solid for the rest of this month and into next month, up until my wedding. I will be taking a couple days off after my wedding because I'll have family in town. Probably take off the Friday before as well. So once we get close to October 16th, mid-October, I will be taking some time off. But yeah. Yeah, thanks, guys. I will be taking it easy on the guts today and hopefully continuing to get better. Thank you all so much. Yep, and Rhonda will be back at 2. So I hope you all have a lovely day. And thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.